Alright, so continuing through the crazy crossovers, we're going on to Star Trek X-Men. Yes, this actually happened. Star Trek X-Men. This is, pretty much the 90s X-Men lineup meeting the original series Star Trek. What it is pretty much, Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise go to, the Delta Vega Quadrant, which is pretty much a place where his best friend Gary Mitchell, in the first episode of Star Trek, you see, his friend Gary Mitchell became a god. He somehow got godlike abilities, and Kirk was forced to kill him. So he's back in the Delta Vega Quadrant because there's this weird temporal distortion going on, and sure enough, it's a Shi'ar spaceship, and who do they find first? Gladiator. Yeah, Gladiator shows up, and what he does, pretty much, he's standing out there talking to the crew of the Enterprise, and they don't know what the hell is going on. And then suddenly, Gladiator punches the Enterprise. Yes, he punches the Enterprise, and he he actually damages it. And it's funny too, because Kirk and the rest of them are all like in total disbelief. They're like, it's funny, Kirk is like, did he just punch my ship? Yeah, so more or less, we also find out that there was another ship before that, because the Shi'ar, Lalandra's sister, and the Imperial Guard have pretty much gone through another through a slip in, like a little gap in time, because something else from the X-Men and Star Trek universe has also kind of happened as well. Pretty much, Lalandra called upon the X-Men, and they went through the rift first, and before the ship was their ship that they used to get into this spaceship, to get into the Star Trek universe, was destroyed by Deathbird and her rogue Imperial Guard members, or actually, yeah, the Imperial Guard, which doesn't make any sense because they're loyal to Lalandra. They're not a bunch of renegades, so why they're working for her is beyond me. More or less, the X-Men arrive on they get into the bowels of the Enterprise. They sneak aboard through a teleportation, and the team consists of Wolverine, Bishop, Storm, Gambit, Beast, Cyclops, and Jean Grey. So the team, more or less, they get on board, and they're trying to sneak, they're trying to replace themselves, They're on board of a ship, they don't know if it's friend or foe, and they're more or less, trying to put themselves back together and trying to figure out what Deathbird's plan is. And of course, while they're trying to figure things out, Gambit is down as well. Gambit doesn't really say a lot. He only has 2 lines in this entire comic book. That's weird. But anyway, Jean Grey uses her a psychic wave just to touch with everyone's mind, and Spock feels it. And Spock goes out to check out, what the hell was that? Sure enough, he comes across the crew of the Enterprise. Not the crew of the Enterprise, the X-Men, and him and Wolverine get into a fight. It's funny. Wolverine gets hit with a Vulcan nerve pinch. He gets right back up, and the fight continues. It's a quick fight, but it's pretty fun. It's funny and cool at the same time. Then we have Storm and Beast trying to heal Gambit, trying to find a way onto the ship's medical bridge, and they come across Dr. McCoy, and it's funny too because the nurse that's with McCoy goes, "Dr. McCoy," and Beast and McCoy both go yes, and they both look at each other like, "Oh wait." So it's all good. The story's pretty good. The real villain in here is, like I said, Gary Mitchell and Proteus. Proteus has pretty much taken over Gary's dead body and has amplified his powers and is causing a major breach here in the 2 universes. And it's not looking too good. But, more or less, the Imperial Guard and the face off with the X-Men and the crew of the Enterprise, while Jean and Kirk enter Gary's mind and, try to separate him from Proteus. Proteus is a classic X-Men villain who was this godlike being as well, and he was the son of Moria McTaggart. All around, this is just a fun little story. It's It's a nice little one-shot crossover. They also did one which I've been meaning to find. I can't find it anywhere. The Star Trek Next Generation and X-Men crossover. That one involves the Borg and the Sentinels. It's pretty much actually a comic book sequel to Star Trek First Contact. So I really want to try to find that just for, the sheer novelty of it. But yeah, this is all good. The artwork is alright. Mark Silvestri does a lot of the artwork. It's written by Scott Liddell, who I know... I'm kind of... I'm not a big fan of his work, but he did okay. He did okay with what he had. So, more or less, yeah, this is a good comic if you can find it. It's pretty good. The artwork for some of the facial expressions is a little off, but what can you do? But yeah, this is really good. It doesn't really have a lot of character interaction. It's more like, oh, we gotta team up to save the universe. I think this would have... Personally, I think this crossover would have benefited more had it been longer rather than have a total cram session. I think it would... This felt like it should have been at least a 3-4 part story. But that's just me. The Star Trek... I think out of the crossovers they've done, the Star Trek crossover with Legion of Superheroes remains my favorite, but again, I have yet to read the Star Trek Doctor Who crossover on the grounds of, hey, I have no money. So that's more or less it. But yeah, that may change, and that may be my favorite Star Trek comic book crossover. But this is just fun. Anyway, I'm out.